Good morning, you boys and girls. Luke Cardwalker here, and I'm decided that I'm going to give you guys an updated profile on Super Quants. I know it's been a long time. I really feel like this is probably the best that this deck has ever been. Um, this is a good spot for this deck with Italy at 3, Danger Nessie coming to 3. We really have a lot of consistency cards going for us now. Um, so I just wanted to give you guys a real quick update and then do like a couple of combos towards the end. This deck doesn't really have any combos like specifically, but there are a few things that I have caught on to, having played this in Master Duel and also playing this in real life, that if I see it in my hand, I know I can get to Magnus. So uh, this is Great Magnus Turbo. So we're playing really just as consistent as possible. Kind of took out all of the fluff, and really just trying to turbo out Magnus, and he really is such a powerful, oppressive card that um, we want to get him on the board. So of course we are going first, which is usually not my thing, but I do believe this is the right call in today's meta. That could change, but for right now, this is definitely the best. So 3 copies of White Layer. This is standard. This guy is the best way to keep your engine going and keep things recurring. Trip copy of Red Layer, Monster Reborn, add cards back. We all know what these do. Green Layer, still only playing 2. You only need 2. This card, I don't think is ever going to be needed at more than 2, especially with Desires at 1. It's just not necessary. 3 copies of Blue Layer, best target off of E-Telly. It's amazing that this is a psychic. Searches out any of our Super Quant cards, including our field spell, which is ideally what we want to search off of Blue Layer if we don't already have it. Triple copies of Alphen, the Thug himself. Best card in the deck by far. A double Foolish and a free summon. This card can't be any better. We are also playing the Diviner engine, so 3 copies of Diviner. So what you do off of this card is we will summon this, and we will send Trias Hierarchia. And what this card does is all this is going to do is going to tribute the Diviner that we use to send this, and then Diviner's second effect will summon out our Alphen. And then off to our Danger Engine, we have 3 Nessie. This coming back to 3 has helped the deck so much, especially being able to utilize it off of our field spell. It just adds so much more consistency to the deck. Our 1 copy of Jackalope and 1 copy of Snake. That's all we really need for dangers. Don't really need to play Mothman. You can if you want. I don't think you need it, but it is there. It is a level 4, which plays with your green, but I still think that these are the only ones you need. Off to hand traps. 3 copies of Orange Light. We are playing a lot of fairies, so Orange Light is almost never dead, and we can search out Alphen all the time. So this is by far and away the best hand trap that we can put in our deck. 2 copies of Lancia. 1, it's a fairy, and 2, it is so strong in the meta right now with Phantom Knights, Sword Soul. So many decks want to banish cards. This card just is really nice to have in the main. Only 2 though. I don't think you need to play 3. You don't want to see it all the time, but when you do, you want it to matter. 1 copy of Ghost Ogre, just as an extra target off of E-Telly, and also it's pretty strong against things like the Adventure Engine. But I only think that we need the 1 for E-Telly. It's also our only tuner target off of E-Telly, so that does come up. And then 2 copies of Imperm just to round out some hand traps. So we have a nice even 8, which I think is a good ratio of hand traps. 6 to 8 is probably ideal. And onto our spells, we have 3 copies of E-Telly. This card is so great in this deck, and the fact that it's at 3 now is just absolutely insane. Being able to summon out our Blue Layer and just search our field spell for free. Yeah, this card is great, and thank you, Konami, for bringing it back for us. 2 copies of Map, Pure Raise Map. I don't know how I feel about this card yet. It is a great way to get Alpha into hand, but more often than not, I'm only using this as ash bait. um, and it kind of sucks that it costs half your life points just to bait out an Ash Blossom. Um, but it does add a little consistency to the deck. A lot of times this gets sided out just because I just don't want to burn myself in games 2 and 3. But in game 1, it is kind of nice to have 2 copies of the field spell. Only 2. You don't want to see multiple copies of this in your hand, but you do want to see it in your hand sometimes. So if you can't search it out off of blue, if it's already in your hand, then you have extra. You have an extra way to use blue to search out another piece, and then 2 copies of Twin Twisters, just because my locals has so much back row. This is just a local call for me right now. You can put anything you want in here. You can put a couple of more hand traps. Cosmic Cyclone. I just like Twin Twisters for the discard. It just helps get our engine going a little bit faster. But you can play whatever tickles your fancy. And then 1 copy of Call by the Grave, just to protect against things like Ash and Ogre. Those are 2. Ogre is a powerful card right now that's always popping up, but Ash is always there too. So that's the main deck. 41 cards in the main. I think that this is a pretty ideal list for the main deck. I'm still tweaking it here and there, but the tweaks that are made are very, very slim, and it doesn't need to be changed too much. Onto the extra deck, we have 1 copy of Lina. This is the best charmer for us to play. Before this came out, Hito was a really good call, but the fact that this can search out Alphen or even Diviner, or even it can search out Orange Light if we are in a good game state. And then so many people are playing light targets for this to revive that this card is so great to have. 1 copy of Halki Fibrax. This card is bonkers with Diviner being a tuner. We can summon out. We can summon this and bring out another Diviner or another tuner that we don't want in our deck, and we can just keep extending, which kind of plays well with this card, Crusadia Equimax. This card, low-key, is insane in this deck because we do play a couple of cards that the drawback to the monsters that this points to not being able to attack is irrelevant. One of those being Megaclops. So we can easily make Megaclops off of the revive effect of Great Magnus, and then we just point this right here under Equimax, and Equimax is now 6k, and Megaclops can still attack on its own. So it is a pretty bonkers combo. And then 1 Access Code Talker, just to help us clear our opponent's board. For the XCs, we have 1 Abyss Dweller. This card is insane in the meta right now. Shuts off PK, shuts off Prank Kids, so both PKs. Eldritch, yeah, this card is pretty great. 1 Grand Pulse, our MST. 1 Ouroboros, our Book of Moon. 1 Magnaliger, our Monster Pop. 1 Lusterex, our Effect Veiler. And then, of course, the boy himself, Great Magnus. All hail to thee. Definitely wanting to turbo this guy out as fast as possible, get him going, and shut our opponents off from their main deck. And then finally, 1 copy of Zeus. Zeus is an amazing card. I don't really need to talk too much about it. And then this is just a locals meta call for me. This I think you should absolutely play no matter what. Entis, because you can send it off of Diviner and pop any problem cards. But I'm also putting in these guys, the Nova and Makaba package, because at my locals there's so many dogmatic Invoke players that since I had the extra space for these 2, I felt like playing it. You can absolutely replace this with something like Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn, which is objectively better in the grand scheme of things, but for my locals specifically, I think that this is a good call because it catches people off guard and it helps you protect yourself. Alright, now the side deck, this is also very subjective. It's whatever you think is going to be best for you at your locals. For my locals, back row is a big problem, so we're playing a lot of back row. Hey, Cosmic Cyclone. 2 Lightning Storm plus Harpies. Yeah, back row hate the back row. Now definitely I would consider evenly matched because this card is insane and not insane at the same time. The fact that a lot of people are starting to put in Waking the Dragon and Lord of the Heavenly Prison, you know, that it just isn't as strong as it used to be. 3 copies of Droplet. Droplet is Droplet. We all know what this card does. Is it essential for the deck? No. You can play something like Dark Ruler No More and it still be fine. In fact, it may be better for you and your locals. But for me, I like having a discard. And some effects I don't always want to negate, and also I like my battle phase, so you know I like being able to actually do damage. And then again, another locals meta call, 2 copies of Phantasme. A lot of people are playing Sky Striker or Verte Anaconda. This is just a great way to keep your hand as efficient as possible, as well as get you a body on board. A lot of times what ends up happening is they'll summon DPE and they'll just pop this anyway, but it really doesn't matter because you just want to fix your hand, so it's a pretty strong card. And then our 3rd copy of Lancia to throw in for decks that want to banish. And then rounding out the side deck, 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This card is hit or miss. I'm really considering putting in something else, but this is good against Flunder. It's pretty much the most that it does right now, and Flunder is a big problem in my locals. I don't think the deck is particularly that good against us, especially if we can get out Great Magnus. But the one thing that they do have going for them is that they have Dimension Shifter, and if they get that off on you, well, you're boned anyway, so you know, rest in pieces. So yeah, that's the main side and extra. Let me throw a couple combos at you guys. Just a couple of things that I've learned. Okay, so the first combo that I want to show you guys. The thing you have to know about Super Quants is there's no linear combo, so nothing is absolutely guaranteed, especially because Alpha makes things random. One of the most guaranteed combos that I have learned of is E-Telly plus one of these 2. So either your Field Spell or White Layer. And this will get you to a guaranteed 6 material Great Magnus, no matter what, unless your opponent has Interruption, which the way we're playing is a little bit fast and loose. We kind of just assume that our opponent doesn't have any interaction, and then we just go for it. And if they do have some, you just adjust fire and you change your game plan. So let's assume that we have White Layer and E-Telly in hand. So all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and fire that E-Telly, which will net us our Blue Layer. Off of that, Blue Layer is going to search out the Field Spell. We're going to go ahead and activate that Field Spell, use the effect targeting blue, discarding the white. So we'll summon out our Grand Pulse. Then we'll trigger our White Layer to add the Alphen to hand. And then from there we can normal summon the Alphen, trigger the effect, and we will reveal green, red, and then another white to get those colors into rotation. It doesn't matter if we have another Super Quant in hand for the discard or the summon of green. It's kind of irrelevant anyway, but if we have it, it's there. And then from here, the randomness of Alphen kind of kicks in. If you get your white summon, then all you're going to do is you just use red to bring back the green. And if you get green summon, you use red, bring back white. If red gets summoned, then you add back the white. And from here, you can still pop off no matter what. So this is probably the least ideal position, but it still works. So you'll summon out this, and you're still going to have 3 other cards in your starting hand for your discard fodder. So you can summon this out, use the effect of Magna Carrier, summon out Magna Liger. Then we can use White Layer's effects, sending the Magna Liger. And then we go Chainlink 1, Chainlink 2 red, bring back the green, and then white send a green, and then all we have to do is just overlay for Ouroboros, and then go carrier effect, and we have a 6 material Great Magnus right there. So now I want to show you, this is pretty much the same combo, however it gets you a 7 material Great Magnus, just because of Diviner. So first off, we're going to go E-Telly. This is always going to be the first thing. It's great ash bait. Go E-Telly, then go blue layer effect, add our field spell. And then from here, we can normal that Diviner out, use Diviner's effect to send Trias. Trias is going to tribute the Diviner to summon itself, and then Diviner effect is going to summon out our Alphen. And now from here, we're going to use the Alphen's first effect to target blue layer, make everything a level 3, so that we can just go ahead and overlay right here for our Grand Pulse, which also gives us another Trias later on in the game if we need it. Then we can go Alphen effect, do the same thing where we reveal green, white, and red, and it really doesn't matter what gets summoned off of here, because again, no matter what, we're going to end up on a Great Magnus with 7 materials, so it doesn't really matter what gets summoned off of Alphen. Something you can do is if you have, let's say you have another white layer in hand already, what you can do is if red gets summoned and green goes to grave, you can just pitch this, and then draw a card off of green, and then use red layer as channeling 2 to add this back to hand. So you just get a free draw 1. But I only do that if you have another white layer in hand, because if you don't, then you're not going to get enough materials. But if you don't have another white, then make sure you add the white back off of the red layer so that you can do your combo properly. So let's just say we we don't have another white layer in hand. We just have our 3 random cards. So we'll just white layer, add this back, and red layer, add this. And then we can do the normal stuff, activate carrier, pitch, summon Magna Liger, white layer effect, summon, send this, summon the green, send green off of white, make Ouroboros, make Great Magnus. So that's pretty much the same combo we just saw, but I wanted to show you the little interaction with Diviner. All right, now this next one, it's not really a 4-card combo. It's kind of just showcasing, hands that end up happening a lot, where you have an extender like red layer, or maybe even green layer, or an E-Telly. Just a way to get a free body on board instead of having to rely on just the summon off of Alphen. And then also opening up Nessie. And I just want to use this as an example to show why Nessie is so strong in this deck. So we're going to get our free summon off of red layer. Go ahead and summon out the Alphen, tribute that. We'll reveal 1, 2, 3. The 3 colors that we don't have, so we already have red, so we want to get one of these going. So no matter what, we're going to be able to get to Magnus off of this. So let's just say worst case scenario, we get the green. Green is always the worst case scenario if it gets summoned and you don't have another Quant in hand, because then it's just useless on its effects. Blue would be able to search out another white, and then white, if it gets summoned, it can send another red, or it can send something else to help extend. But yeah, green is always the worst case scenario. I absolutely hate it when this card gets hit, but it is what it is. So let's just say she gets summoned. We'll get our search off of white. We'll add Alphen back, I guess. Then we can go ahead and activate our field spell. And then from here, we'll go carrier effect, target red layer, discarding the Nessie. We're going to summon out our Magna Liger. Then we're going to trigger Nessie effect. Go ahead and add our Jackalope. And it seems a little weird here, but we can go ahead and detach the Liger, pop itself, just so we can proc our red effect to bring back white layer. And then we're going to go ahead, off of that, use carrier effect, discard the Jackalope, target green. Green will summon Ouroboros, and then we can go ahead and trigger our Jackalope, which will net us another Nessie, where we can go ahead and overlay for Lusterex. And then right off of that, we have our great magnets with 6 materials. And then, of course, if you have any other super quants in hand, you can, use the Exceeds effects to suck up an extra material. But yeah, that is why Nessie is so powerful in this deck, is because this is a 1 card, 3 Exceeds off of this 1 discard. So Nessie is absolutely great for this deck, and so happy to see it back at 3. But those are kind of like the, like I said, quote-unquote combos. This deck doesn't have any linear plays. You have to really play around with it. I highly recommend building this deck on Master Duel if you want to get into this, or even play it on Dueling Book or whatever. It's helped me a lot being able to play essentially the same deck on Master Duel. The only difference is it took out Imperm and put in Max C, because, Max C is Max C. And then E-Telly is also a 2. But being able to grind out throughout the day helps me learn how to play this. And there are definitely a lot of scenarios in which you really shouldn't be able to make magnets, but because of certain cards and a little bit of luck, you can get to it. But play around with it, figure out what works best for you. There's no easy way to play this deck. It is a high learning curve. You really have to be good at maintaining your hand advantage, and also being able to maintain your white layer searches for Alphen, as well as being able to put cards back with blue layers effect to shuffle them back. That way you can still use your Alphen. Yeah, those are really key things in this deck, is being able to maintain your resources, as well as maintaining your hand and card advantage. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. May the cards be with you, and peace out.